दिव्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। So Shrutahani Ashruta Kalpana Prasangat, up to this we have seen. So the next is these Vakyas. Well, all these Vakyas like Brahmaivedam Amrutam Purastat, Ayamatma Brahma Sarvanupuhu, Atma Vayidameka Eva Grasitu, Asit, these Vakyas are all meant to convey only that the Atma is Brahman. You are indeed the reality ununderstood by yourself. The question is not whether the individual is Brahman or not. The individual is the truth, but ununderstood by himself. There is ignorance about your own nature. The problem is not whether we are free or not. The problem is one of ignorance about that reality. So this is a very... And also the meaning of the word Samanvaya. Samanvaya should be understood to mean that really all of them, all the Vakyas, together do the same job. They all have one Pramanyam. They are not different Pramanas. Like two eyes are not two Pramanas. Both the eyes make one Pramana. In that manner, all the Upanishads make one Pramana. Similarly, all the Vakyas in each Upanishad, all the Vakyas in each Upanishad also make one Pramana. Like every detail in the eye is meant only to facilitate perception, to convey the form. Every detail in the eye, let us say, every detail in the eye is meant to facilitate, is meant to point out, and is meant to point out the form. Similarly, every detail in the ear is meant to point out only one detail. All details have Samanvaya, because they are all meant to convey the same thing. In that manner, the various Vakyas in each Pramana, they are all having the same Tatparyam. They are all meant to convey the same Vastu, and therefore, because they have a Samanvayam, and what they convey is also within Anubhava, that makes it Pramana. See, that they should have Samanvayam. One thing is, they should not disagree with each other, they should not be pulling in different directions, they should not have different Tatparyam, and also they should not be talking about something which is not in experience. If they are all talking about something within experience, then definitely again Pramanyam. These Vakyas, the next verse, the next line, Nacham Tesham Kartriswarupam Pratipadana Paratva Paratam avasiyate tat kenakam pashyet ityadi kriyakaraka phala nirakarana shrutehe. So, the above vakyas also cannot be interpreted to be describing the nature of this actor, the individual. Kartru swarupa pratipadana parata tesham na avasiyate. It can't be concluded that these vakyas are meant to convey the nature of the individual. They are not meant to describe the individual as an individual. Like, when we describe an individual is described like this, that I am a form, I am a man, I am a form, I am an Indian, I am a seer of the world, hearer of the sound, taster of the object, toucher of the object, smeller of the object, and performer of an action, walker, talker. This is what is called description of an individual. Now these vakyas cannot be interpreted to be describing the nature of an individual as an individual. They are not describing the nature of an individual as an individual, nor are they describing Brahman as an individual. Nor are they describing the Brahman as an individual. Why? Because neither the individual as an individual is unlimited, nor the unlimited as unlimited is an actor. This is very important statement. The individual as an individual, neither the individuality is unlimited, nor the unlimited awareness which is the swarupa of this individual. The swarupa, the ununderstood actuality of this individual is the soul awareness. The unlimited awareness also cannot be considered as an actor. Therefore, najatesham kartrusvatsvarup pratipadana parata avasiyate. Why? Because tat kenakam pashyet. These vakyas only correct the actorship in the individual. Tat kenakam pashyet. Meaning, yatra va sarvam advaitam abhut tat kenakam pashyet. Yatra va sarvam atmaiva bhut. Yatra va sarvam atmaiva bhut tat kenakam pashyet. Where everything is recognized as Atma, there one doesn't see the other, one doesn't hear the other, one doesn't get related to the other. Therefore, the subject-object relationship itself is negated. Therefore, the purpose of these vakyas is not really to describe the individuality of an individual, but really they are meant to correct the individuality of the individual. Tat kenakam pashyet iti tat kenakam pashyet ityadi. The vakyas like this. Kriya karaka phala nirakarana shrutehe. Kriya karaka phala nirakarana shrutehe means there being the shrutis meant to correct the kriya karaka phala, meaning the karakas. The idea of myself being an actor, this is called, individual. My idea of myself being a willer, my idea of myself being a limited individual, my idea of myself being an incomplete individual, my idea of myself being a performer of an action, my idea of myself being having a means of action, my idea of myself being related to the object, and my idea of myself waiting for the results, my idea of myself being the enjoyer of the result. This whole thing is called, karakas. So this karakas related to me, that I am a part of karakas. This kriya, karaka and phala, nirakarana shrutehe. These are the shrutis which are meant to correct the idea of the karakas about me. They are not meant to describe. They are not meant to describe the karakas about me. They are not descriptive of an individual as an individual, nor they are descriptive of the Brahman as an individual, but they are corrective of the individual as an individual. They are corrective of my actorship. They are corrective of my idea of my being a jiva. They are corrective. Nirakarana shrutis. Nirakarana means corrective, rejective. Therefore, if they are meant to correct the very karakas, how can they be interpreted to describe Brahma, which can be converted into one of the karakas? What the Mimamsaka would like to say is that the Brahman is indeed also an upasana vishaya. Brahman is upasana vishaya. If Brahman has to become an object of mental worship, then definitely it becomes a karaka. To be an object of an action also becomes a karaka. To be a subject of an action, to be a means of action, understanding to be an object of action. Anything that is related to action, even willing is related to action, because will is always meant for action, will to do. Therefore, the will is related to action. And then behind my sense of individuality, that I am an actor, that idea of an actor related to kartritvam, related to action, will is related to action, means of action are related to action, objects which are used in action are also related to action, and the devata that I think of. So if I worship Brahman, and if I visualize Brahman, and if I objectify Brahman, and if I worship that Brahman, make it an object of my worship, then what would that Brahman be? Karaka. So in this manner, well, he would like to convert Brahman into one of the karakas, but here he says that Vedanta is a pramanam here in the matter of Brahman, and not by way of presenting Brahman as one of the karakas, but by way of correcting all the obtaining karakas. Vedanta is a pramanam by way of correcting all the obtaining felt karakas. Nirakarana Shute. Next line. Nacha parinishthita vastu swarupatvepi pratyakshadi vishayatvam brahmanaha tattvamasiti atmabhavasya shastramantarena anavagamyamanatvat. Now Purvapakshi's stand is that any existent reality, parinishthita vastu, any existent fact, an already existent fact, should not be the topic of Veda. anything that is already existent should be the topic of the senses. Anything that is already existent and accomplished reality, it should be the subject matter of pratyaksha pramana or anumana pramana. It should not be the topic of, it cannot be and cannot be the topic of Veda pramana. Veda pramana is not meant to talk about what is. Veda pramana is meant, this is how the Purvapakshi thinks. Veda pramana is meant to help you perform actions which are not there now. You understand? The actions that one has not yet performed. So, if the action is not yet performed, that means it is not already existent. See how action is not there. The action that I have not performed is not there, but it can be brought about. It is not like Shashashrunga. Karma is not Shashashrunga. Karma is a bhavya. And a reality that is already there is called bhutam. Is already bhutam. A reality that is already there is bhutam or siddham. But the action that I have not yet performed is a bhavyam or sadhyam. It is yet to be accomplished. Veda pramana is meant to help man perform actions which he has not yet performed, so that certain pleasures which are not there in his mind now, those pleasures he can accomplish in time. He can perform the action, then action brings about some punya, and punya brings about an object of pleasure, and that object of pleasure can create pleasures in the mind. So the goal of Veda is to help man find his mental happiness, mental pleasure. Therefore, karma is bhavyam, karma phala is also bhavyam, and the sukha is also bhavyam. Therefore, bhavyam is the topic of Veda pramanam. Bhutam is not the topic of Veda pramanam. Veda pramana should only talk about actions and results. And it should not talk about what is. And whatever is in this existence, whatever is, it should be the topic of the pratyaksha pramana and anumana pramana. What is Vedanta Veda need not talk about. What is, I should be able to figure out, because I have got the faculties. Therefore, well, if you say Brahman is parinishthita vastu, if you say Brahman is an accomplished reality, then it should be the topic of pratyaksha pramana. Are you able to follow? If Brahman is an accomplished reality, then it should be the topic of pratyaksha pramana or anumana pramana. It should not be the topic of really the Veda pramana. And Veda pramana can use the existent fact not to know. Veda pramana cannot really, should not really help you, need not help you to know what is. But Veda pramana is meant to use what is for karma. It can use, like pratyaksha vishaya, there are dravya. Veda pramana can help you use fire. Veda pramana can help you use material objects to facilitate actions. In the same manner, Brahma also being already there, Veda pramana can use that Brahman as an object of upasana. It can be used as an object of worship. It can be used as an object of upasana kriya, so that upasana can bring some pleasure in future. Therefore, the parinishthita vastu, meaning an already existent reality, cannot be revealed by Veda. Veda need not reveal what is already existent, but Veda Pramana can use what is already existent. If you say Vedanta Pramana reveals Brahma Vastu, then that is not acceptable as per the Purvapakshi. Purvapakshi says it's not acceptable at all that Veda Pramana reveals Brahma. If it is an already existent fact, then it need not be revealed by Veda Pramana. It should be available for understanding through Pratyaksha and Anumana. Keeping in view this Purvapaksha, keeping in view this objection, Bhashyakara says this Vakya. What is that Vakya? Parinishthita vastu swarupatvepi. Even though Brahmani is of the nature of an already existent fact, Parinishthita means an already existent fact. Vastu, a fact. Swarupatvepi. Even though Brahmani is an already existent fact, Sthita, Nishthita, Parinishthita. Understand, no? Sthita, Sthita, Nishthita, Sthita, Nishthita, Parinishthita. Vastu, factual, Swarupatvepi. Even though Brahmani is an already existent fact. Na pratyakshadi vishayatvam brahmanaha. Brahman cannot enjoy the status of being an object of perception. This is going straight to the whole paksha. Because the Purvapakshi said anything that is already existent, any reality should be available for Pratyaksha and Anumana. Whereas Bhashyakara says, what is, just because everything that is existent need not be, if it is an existent object, then definitely an object can be Pratyaksha Vishayam or Anumana Vishayam. But you can't categorically say that anything that is Parinishtitam, the existent fact, should be available for perception and inference. In this manner, you can't take a stand. Why? Because Brahman, even though Parinishthita, the observer, even though Parinishthita, the one who is aware of everything, even though he is Parinishthita, but yet he is not an object of eyes and ears. He is not an object of sense perception, and because it is not an object of perception, it is also not an object of inference. Therefore, parinishthita vastu swarupatvepi brahmanaha na pratyakshadi vishayatvam. Brahman is not an object of pratyaksha, अनुमाना, अर्थापत्ति, अनुपलब्धि, उपमाना, पंच प्रमाणों का विषय नहीं है. क्लियर? Why? तत्त्वमसि इति ब्रह्मात्म भावस्य. तत् त्वम असि इति ब्रह्मात्म भावस्य. The vision of the Mahavakya called that the Atma is Brahman. The sense of the Mahavakya called Tattvamasi iti Brahmatma Bhavasya. That the self is indeed unlimited, which is the sense of Mahavakya. Tattvamasi iti Brahmatma Bhavasya. Shastram antarena, without Shastram, anavagamya manatvat can never be understood. Avagammyamana, anavagamyamanatvat, because it can never be understood. The fact of the observer being the unlimited, the one truth, the one without a second truth, which is the sense of the Mahavakya, this sense cannot be understood independent of Shastram, meaning it cannot be understood through Pratyaksha, Anumana, etc. Because any object of Pratyaksha and Anumana is always a limited thing, not the unlimited. A given form is, form is the topic of the eye. Now a given form cannot be unlimited. Because apart from the form, there is also a sound, there is a taste, there is a touch, there is smell. It is only 1/5. Form. Eyes can reveal forms. Ears can reveal sounds. Now, nor can we say all the 5 senses put together convey the unlimited. Because all the 5, even the form, sound, taste, touch, smell, all the 5 put together do not make the unlimited. Do not make the unlimited. Why? Because they exclude there is someone who is aware. And the one who is aware. Now, for example, the form, sound, taste, touch, smell do not include the waking 5 details, do not include Sushupti. They are not comprehensive of Sushupti. The waking 5 details are not inclusive of even dream things. Okay, dream also is 5 details. So the same 5 details, the waking 5 details, form, sound, taste, touch and smell, and the dream also has got the same 5 details. Okay, we will not even create any difference between these 5 details and those 5 details. But these 5 details cannot include the Sushupti, a state of their own negation. A state of their own negation is also a matter of man's experience. There may not be enlightenment, man may not know, Jiva may not have the enlightenment as to what is that state where there is no form, no sound, no taste, no touch, no smell, called the sleep. What is that state? He may not have the enlightenment, but he definitely has the experience. He can't question the experience. Maybe he may get bewildered about it. ये क्या हो जाता है? हम कहाँ जाते हैं? What happens to me? He may wonder about it. He may be bewildered about it. That is all right. But he definitely has experience of a state. There is a state where, as an individual, it disappears. I mean, his individuality disappears, and that very disappearance called the sleep is a matter of his experience, and that experience you can't question. That is the thing to be seen. The unquestionability of the Sushupti as an Anubhava is itself an enlightenment of the truth. Seeing thee, not believing thee, seeing the unquestionability of the universal experience of Sushupti, seeing the unquestionability of Sushupti as an experience itself is an enlightenment about Sushupti. Therefore, these 5 details cannot include their own negation. And therefore, how can I really use the sense organs to know the unlimited, the Brahman? Therefore, here Bhagavan says, Shastram Antarena, without the Shastra Vakyas, one cannot even think in that direction. Without Vedanta, you can't know the reality because, well, without the exposure to the Shruti Vakyas, a Jiva does not even think in that direction. How can he think in that direction? Because he will never take into account Sushupti. He will only analyze himself as an individual as obtaining in Jagrat. And without taking into account really a state of freedom from the world, a state of freedom from the body and the mind and the world, without taking into account the world-free state, how am I going to really figure out what is the source of the world and what is me? So some people may write real ultimately some kind of a mental peaceful state in the waking state. They talk about meditation, they talk about, you understand, they talk about some mental meditations and serenity, vagera, 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 and nicely bind it and sell it. कोई बड़ी बात नहीं. You have to have some good managers. Therefore here, nacha parinishthita vastu swarupatvepi pratyakshadi vishayatvam brahmana tattvamasi iti brahmatma bhavasya shastramantarena anavagamyamanatva. Therefore, it is not some kind of, it is not a fanatical statement to say, it is not being fanatical when we assert that truth cannot be known independent of Shastra Vakyas. It is not being fanatical. Please understand. There is no assertion. There is only stating. Why should I assert? If I say without eyes you can't see the colors, it is not exaggeration. It is not being fanatical. One is not being fanatical when he says, you can't know, you can't see the forms without eyes. You can't hear the sounds without ears. It is not being fanatical. Okay. Yattu eyam upadeyam rahitatvat upadeshat anarthakyam iti naishadoshaha eyam upadeyam shunyam brahmatmatam avagamadevam sarvaklesham prahanat purushartha siddhehe. The Purva-Pakshi's another topic is taken up. The Purva-Pakshi's Mimamsaka's next objection is, he says, the very idea of usefulness lies in gaining physical comfort, mental comfort, and avoiding physical and mental discomfort. If I gain an object which comforts me physically, which comforts me mentally, this is called sukha. Physical comfort and mental comfort. That is called sukha. The physical discomfort and mental discomfort, whatever be the reason for it, that discomfort is called dukkham. And when we talk about usefulness, the idea of usefulness as known to man, as available in this creation, the idea of usefulness lies in gaining physical and mental comfort and avoiding physical and mental discomfort. In Sanskrit it is called sukha pravritti and dukkha nivritti. And the Veda Pramana is meant to help man to gain really sukha and avoid dukkha. Therefore, Veda is meant to help man do actions which will give him sukha and avoid dukkha. The Vakyas that are supposed to bring sukha are called Vidhi Vakyas. And the Vakyas by following which we are supposed to avoid dukkham, they are called Pratisheta Vakyas. So, Veda Pramana is only meant, Veda Pramana means including Vedanta as according to the Mimamsaka. So, Veda Pramana is meant to talk only about Heyam and Upadeyam. Heya means something to be negated. Hadhatu, jahati, heya, heya. That which is to be negated. Upadeya, adeya, deya, adeya, adeya. Upa plus adeya, upadeya. So that is something to be gained. Heya means something to be avoided. Upadeya means something to be gained. There is something in life which needs to be gained. That means which is not there now. There is something in life which needs to be gained. What is it that needs to be gained? Sukham. The sukham that is not there with me now. The shariram sukham and manasam sukham that is not there now, I want to gain it. So, the sukham I look for, what is it? Heyam or upadeyam? Upadeyam. Supposing I have dukkham, physical dukkham and mental dukkham keeps coming and I want to keep it away. There is always a potentiality for dukkham. And that potentiality for dukkham in the body and the mind always throws up dukkham, and that dukkham I want to avoid. Therefore, what is the dukkham? Heyam. It is not the object that is heyam or upadeyam. Even when we talk about object as heyam, the object can be gained, the object can be lost. But actually, the object is pratyaksha vishayam. It is a parinishtita vastu, which is an object, which is a physical reality, which is revealed by the sense organs. It is not the object that is heyam and upadeyam. Object is only used for sukham the upadeyam, and object can be used for avoiding the dukkham the heyam. Object, even though when we say it is the objects which are heyam and upadeyam, it is not the objects which are heyam and upadeyam. Why? Because they are indeed parinishtita vastus, they are realities of the senses. I can't really avoid it, I can't gain it, because I don't create an object, I don't avoid an object. An object is always there, but I may use the objects for sukha prapti and dukkha nivritti. Therefore, fundamentally, what is heyam? Dukkham. And what is upadeyam? Sukham. Therefore, the job of Veda Pramana is to help man gain sukham and avoid dukkham. Now, if you talk about Brahman, tell me, Brahman being unlimited, which is a reality cannot be heyam, a reality cannot be upadeyam. Why? Because a reality that is there need not be gained, a reality that is there cannot be avoided. Brahman being unlimited, being parinishtita, it is neither heyam nor upadeyam. If it is not heyam and not upadeyam, then it is not the topic of Veda Pramana. Because Veda Pramanam is meant to talk about only the actions which can help me gain sukha and help me avoid dukkha, and Brahmavastu is neither heyam nor upadeyam. Clear? Whose stand is this? Purva-pakshi's stand. Mimamsaka's stand. बहुत बड़ी stand है जी. Because this is universal stand. Because everybody thinks, what is the use of knowing Brahman? कुछ करो, कुछ कमाओ, कुछ खाओ, शरीर की सुख पाओ, मन की सुख पाओ, enjoy the world. You understand, Therefore it is not Mimamsaka's paksha, it is universal paksha, but then that universal paksha is being conveyed well by Mimamsaka. Without a paksha being a universal paksha, it cannot gain the status of Purva Paksha. I have already stated, I have already conveyed this point. Otherwise, we will be wasting time handling the Purva Pakshas, which are not universal Pakshas. What is not a universal thinking, what is not a universal paksha cannot be purva paksha. Are you able to follow? If you are following, it's very, very good. I am telling you, you should follow. Because every jiva thinks there is no use of knowing what he is. In fact, you should always, even knowledge of the objects must be converted into actions. Knowledge must be translated into actions. And actions bring results. And results give me sukham. And results avoid dukkham. So ultimately, what is my idea? Sukha prapti, dukkha nivritti. Therefore, even the knowledge about the world, all the vidyas must be translated into actions. Therefore, even vidyas have the purpose of heya and upati. Keeping in view that alone, Purvapakshi says that even Brahma Vidya, if it is there, then even that Vidya must be used for the Sukha Prapti and Dukkha Nivritti. Sharir Sukha Prapti and Manas Sukha Prapti and Dukkha Nivritti. Not for discovering, not for some moksha or anything. Clear? Now please see, Yattu. Yattu means as regards what was said by the Purvapakshi. जो कहा गया था पूर्वपक्ष के द्वारा. Yattu. Heya upadeya rahitatvat. And Brahman is neither heyam nor upadeya. Heya upadeya rahitatvat, because Brahman is not something that can be brought about, it is not something that can be avoided. Sukham needs to be brought about, understand, to be brought about. And dukkham needs to be avoided. And Brahman, a reality that is there, the unlimited, cannot be, need not be brought about, and it cannot be avoided. Therefore, that is what is called heya upadeya rahitatvat. Because Brahman is free from being heyam and upadeyam, rahitatvat. Upadesha anarthakyam. Vedanta is not useful. Vedanta upadesha, Brahma upadeshasya anarthakyam. Upadesha anarthakyam means upadeshasya anarthakyam. Upadesha anarthakyam. Vedanta talking about the nature of Brahma or Veda talking about the nature of Brahma is of no use, because Veda should be talking about, it should help me gain sukham and avoid dukkham. And if there is a reality called Brahman, then it should be the topic of Pratyaksha Pramanam. I can use the Pratyaksha Pramanam and I can know the Brahma. And if Veda is talking, then it should be talking about some upasana pertaining to that Brahman, which should be the topic of Pratyaksha, and that upasana can help me gain sukha and avoid dukkha. But analyzing the nature of Brahman, analyzing the existence of Brahman and revealing the existence of Brahman should not be the job of Veda Pramanam, because the existence of every reality should be available for Pratyakshadi Pramanas, and therefore talking about Brahman, unfolding Brahman, describing the nature of Brahman, revealing the existence of Brahman is of no use, because, and that is the job of Pratyaksha Pramanam. And what Pratyaksha Pramanam can do, why should Veda do? Why should Veda do? What Pratyaksha Pramanam can do? Therefore, Upadesha anarthakyam. The Vedanta Upadesha is of no use. Iti yat. In this manner, jo argument hai. Iti yad vachanam. In this manner, what was said by the Purvapaksha. Naesha doshaha. In this matter, we say na eshaha doshaha. This is not a flaw. What is not a flaw? that unfolding the nature of Brahman, knowing the nature of Brahman, which is neither Heyam nor Brahman, knowing the nature of Brahman, which is neither Heyam nor Upadeyam, itself can do the job of removing the entire dukkham and giving you the entire sukham. We are not bypassing the basic view. We are not bypassing Jiva's basic desire for sukham and desire for freedom from dukkham. We are not bypassing it. Because any paksha that bypasses this fundamental intention of the jiva to be free from dukkham, well, really doesn't work. Any paksha that bypasses, that ignores this intention. But what we say is, even though the actions give you comfort, actions themselves can help you avoid discomfort, that is true, but even though Brahman is neither Heyam nor Upadeyam, and the very knowledge of it, and for that very reason that it is not Heyam and Upadeyam, that is very important, that is the highlight of the Vakya. For the very reason that it is not Heyam and Upadeyam, by knowing that Brahma, you become free from dukkha completely and you get the absolute sukham. That is why here he says, well, Heya Upadeya Shunya Brahmatmata. Up to that understanding. Heya Upadeya Shunya Brahma. The Brahman that is neither Heyam nor Upadeyam, Atmata, being oneself. The Brahman that cannot be created, the Brahman that need not be brought about, the Brahman that cannot be avoided, the Brahman that is indeed one's own nature, this Brahmatmata, Avagamadeva, Avagamat Eva. By the very recognition that the self is indeed the Brahman, which is neither Heyam nor Upadeyam, by recognizing the very nature of Brahman as the self, by recognizing the self as the Brahman that is neither Heyam nor Upadeyam, Sarva Klesha Prahanat, there is freedom from all musibats. Sarva Klesha, all sorrows. Prahana. Hana means negation. Prahana means total negation. Prahanat, due to the negation of all the kleshas. You want to be free from dukkha, but freedom from dukkha need not come, in fact will never come through Heya Upadeya. In fact, freedom from dukkha comes only by knowing Brahma, and only the knowledge of Brahman alone can liberate you from dukkha, because it is neither Heyam nor Upadeyam. Here now we begin the topic. You see, the universal thinking is that sukham can be gained and dukkham can be avoided. Vedanta says no. Sukham cannot be gained, dukkham cannot be avoided. Because what you avoid dukkham, it can come back. What you gain sukham, the sukham that you gain can go. Because I gain it, it can go. For the very reason I gain it, it can go. For the very reason I avoid it, it can come back. In fact, the freedom from dukkha is not by way of Heya Upadeya approach. Heya Upadeya approach will not work. In fact, one becomes free from samsara by way of knowing what is not Heyam and Upadeyam, and in recognizing the Brahman, in fact you recognize there is no need for gaining dukkha, there is no need for avoiding dukkha, because Brahma Vastu is choicelessly free from dukkha. If Swarupa is choicelessly free from dukkha, recognizing the freedom from dukkha itself implies there is no need for avoiding dukkha, there is no need to gain sukha, because it is basically choicelessly free from dukkha. If it is free from dukkha, then I don't have to go for sukham. Sukham is its swarupam, and freedom from dukkham is its swarupam. In recognizing the problem, and in recognizing the error, and in correcting the error, alone there is freedom from sansara. But this approach of Heya Upadeya approach doesn't work. And in fact, the whole world continues to be suffering because we follow the approach of Heya Upadeya. Heya Upadeya approach doesn't work. Shastra visualizes Jiva can never be free from dukkha by way of Heya Upadeya. Creating sukha for myself. What I create, I lose. What I gain, I can lose. In fact, I can know. What I gain, I lose. And what I avoid will come back. Not can come back, will come back. What I avoid will come back. What I gain, I lose. It's not by chance that we lose. It is very logical. Whatever I gain, I lose. At the end of life, I lose everything. Even during life, how much we gain, we lose, we gain, we lose. Therefore, the whole drama of life is what? Gaining and losing. That is why Bhagavan Krishna also says, hey, in fact, you are living a life in which you are all the time gaining and losing. You better put up with it. Sukha, dukkhe. You see? Sukha, dukkhe. Sukha, dukkhe. What is that word? Sukha, dukkhe. Same kritva labha labhau jaya jayau. Bhagavan says, you better put up with labha, alabha, jaya, ajaya, and physical and mental comfort and discomfort. Now you are comfortable physically, and again you are uncomfortable. Bijli hai, comfortable. Bijli gone, uncomfortable. This so-called physical and mental comfort, such a flimsy stuff. And we want billions only to make body, the physique comfortable. And even emotional comfort is such a flimsy stuff, I tell you. It is such a flimsy thing. So one emotion, you get a good emotion, you are comfortable. When the children say we are doing very well studies, vagara, vagara, and then suddenly you discover they are doing something else also, extracurricular activity. I am telling you, the most untrustworthy phenomenon is the comfort of the body and the comfort of. If awareness is free from dukkham by nature, then there is no need to avoid dukkham, there is no need to gain sukham. It is ever free. And therefore, here he says, even though Brahman is not Heyam, if awareness is free from dukkham by nature, then there is no need to avoid dukkham, there is no need to gain sukham. It is ever free. And therefore, here he says, even though Brahman is not Heyam, if awareness is free from dukkham by nature, then there is no need to avoid dukkham, there is no need to gain sukham. It is ever free. And therefore, here he says, even though Brahman is not Heyam, If awareness is free from dukkham by nature, then there is no need to avoid dukkham, there is no need to gain sukham. It is ever free. And therefore, here he says, even though Brahman is not Heyam, if awareness is free from dukkham by nature, then there is no need to avoid dukkham, there is no need to gain sukham. It is ever free. And therefore, here he says, even though Brahman is not Heyam, if awareness is free from dukkham by nature, then there is no need to avoid dukkham, there is no need to gain sukham. It is ever free. And therefore, here he says, even though Brahman is not Heyam, then kama means really by the same money I want to meet my needs, meeting biological needs. Meeting biological needs, emotional needs is also. Then kama means really by the same money I want to meet my needs, meeting biological needs. Meeting biological needs, emotional needs is also. Then kama means really by the same money I want to meet my needs, meeting biological needs. Meeting biological needs, emotional needs is also. Then kama means really by the same money I want to meet my needs, meeting biological needs. Meeting biological needs, emotional needs is also. Then kama means really by the same money I want to meet my needs, meeting biological needs. Meeting biological needs, emotional needs is also. Then kama means really by the same money I want to meet my needs, meeting biological needs. Meeting biological needs, emotional needs is also. Then kama means really by the same money I want to meet my needs, meeting biological needs. Meeting biological needs, emotional needs is also. Then kama means really by the same money I want to meet my needs, meeting biological needs. Meeting biological needs, emotional needs is also. Then kama means really by the same money I want to meet my needs, meeting biological needs. Meeting biological needs, emotional needs is also a kama. I mean, is artha, purushartha. Because I want to meet my biological and mental needs. Dharma, I want to be mentally peaceful. I want to live in a need. It's a human need. So, survival is one need. Meeting biological and mental needs is another need, kama. Mental peace is a need. It's a human need. So, survival is one need. Meeting biological and mental needs is another need, kama. Mental peace is a need. It's a human need. So, survival is one need. Meeting biological and mental needs is another need, kama. Mental peace is a need. It's a human need. So, survival is one need. Meeting biological and mental needs is another need, kama. Mental peace is a, well, I want this, I need these three things. But I also have the artha, I want to be free from being a limited individual. That is called Parama. Well, I want this, I need these three things. But I also have the Artha, I want to be free from being a limited individual. That is called Parama Purushartha Moksha. In fact, even the Apara Purusharthas, the intention behind the Apara Purusharthas is only Parama Purushartha. By fulfilling the three Apara Purusharthas, he thinks he will get Parama Purushartha, the Moksha. But actually he can't get Parama Purushartha by gaining the three Purusharthas. And therefore he has to separately know the nature of the self for gaining Parama Purushartha. And therefore as an individual I can only look for four Purusharthas, and the first three Purusharthas are Karma Sadhyam. The first three Purusharthas are Karma Sadhyam, Dharma, Artha, Kama. Whereas the moksha, that is, I want to be free from being a struggler individual. I want to be free from the obtaining situation of being a struggler. I want to be free from the obtaining situation of wanting something. And that, love for freedom from being that individual, that limited individual, that love, that is fulfilled by recognizing the actuality of the self as Brahman. Therefore, Brahma Vidya becomes the sadhanam for Parama Purushartha. That is why here Bhashyakara says, Sarva Klesha Prahanat Purushartha Siddhehe. Which Purushartha Siddhehe? Parama Purushartha Siddhehe. Parama Purushartha Siddhehe Moksha Siddhehe. Because there can be the Siddhi, the accomplishment of freedom from samsara, by way of freedom from all the dukkha, through the very knowledge of Brahma. Therefore Brahmopadesha is sarthaka. Therefore you can't say Vedanta is useless. Next line. Devatadi Pratipadanasya tu Swavakyagatam Upasanarthatvepi Na Kashchit Virodhaha. And now another point of Purvapaksha. Now you have to keep in view the Purvapaksha. Because the Siddhanti takes it for granted that really the student or the whoever is studying, he has the Purvapaksha Jnana. Purvapaksha also he gives, Mimamsaka. Mimamsaka Paksha must be. Mimamsaka's next point is that if Vedanta is meant to only unfold the nature of Brahma, then Vedanta should not have karma and upasana. Vedanta, if it is meant for only Brahmopadesha, then there should be no upasana. Then there should be no description of Devatadi as the objects of upasana. Are you able to follow? If Vedanta is a Vastu Pratipadaka Shastram, then there should be no description of the Devatadi, which are a matter of upasana. But the Vedanta does have the description of some of the Devatas, which become the objects of upasana. How do we explain away the upasanas found in Vedanta, the description of the devatas within Vedanta? How do we explain? For which Siddhanti says, hey, Brahman is not. He thinks, the Purva-Paksha thinks, just as there are other devatas which are described as an object of upasana, Brahman also is another devata called Paradevata. Brahman also is a devata called Paradevata, which is also used, described as an object of upasana. If this is the Purva-Paksha, in answer to this Purva-Paksha, Siddhanti says, my dear son, in Vedanta there can be upasanas. Why? Because Chitta Shuddhi, anything that can help you gain Chitta Shuddhi is a part of Vedanta. Because the upasana that can give you Chitta Shuddhi is a part of Vedanta. Is a part of Vedanta. Because Vedanta does talk about Vairagyam. Vedanta need not be taught. Really, just listen. This is a very serious topic. You see, Vedanta, what is Vedanta? Pramanam. It is a pramanam for what? Pramanam about a reality that Atma is Brahman. Therefore, it should confine itself to only stating how Atma is Brahman. Why should it talk about Vairagyam? Why should Vedanta talk about Vairagyam? Why should Vedanta say, you must have physical control, you must have mental control, you must have Vairagyam, you must have Shama, Dhamma, Uparati, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhana? Why should it talk? It should only talk about only a statement of fact. It should make a statement of fact because it's a Pramana. But Apara Karuna, Shankaracharya says that many places, Shruti talks about even other values because of its compassion for the student. Otherwise, it need not. Why should it? Just as the eyes only reveal the form, it doesn't tell you go for it. The job of the eyes is to reveal the form. The job of the ears is to reveal the sound. Similarly, the job of Vedanta should be as a pramanam, it should only reveal, it should only state that Atma is Brahman. But Vedanta also understands when what is stated needs to be understood by the student, and that student is totally ignorant, and therefore out of compassion it talks about values also. So just as Vedanta talks about the Shabadamadi values, Vedanta can also talk about upasanas which are meant for creating Chitta Shuddhi. Therefore it is very much in line with the fundamental approach. If there were Kamya Karma in Vedanta, then there is a Virodha. But there is no Kamya Karma in Vedanta. There are only upasanas which are meant for Chitta Shuddhi. And if there are devatas described inside Vedanta, well, those devatas are described only as upasya of those upasanas. But Brahma Devata, Brahma is not another devata which is described as an object of upasana. Therefore, Brahman is the Vastu Pratipadaka Vakyasya Vishayaha. Brahman is the topic of Pratipadaka Vakya. Devatas are the topic of Upasana. They are talked as Upasyam, not Pratipadyam. Devatas are referred to as Upasyam. Brahman is referred to as Pratipadyam. Pratipadyam is different from Upasya. And therefore, let there be no confusion. Devatadi Pratipadanasya tu. Devatadi Pratipadanasya means description of the Devata, description of the, what we call the means, the Upasana, the description of the Upasaka, the description of the Upasana, the description of the Upasana Vishaya. This is what is called Devata Adi, Adipadati, etc. That means Karkas. Upasana Vishayam, Upasana Karta. You understand? Kartru, Kriya, Vishaya, ये सारी चीज कारकों का devataadi pratipadanasya tu swavakyagata upasanarthatvepi. Even though they are meant for upasana, na kashchit virodha, there is no virodha. There is no virodha in describing devatadi for the purpose of the upasanas which are there within the Vedanta Vakyas. Swavakyagata. Swavakyagata means Vedanta Vakyagata. वेदांत की अंदर ही रहने वाले वाक्यों में कुछ उपासनाएं हैं. And for those upasanas we require upasaka, we require devata. Well, the description of the devatas can be interpreted as the objects of upasanas which are referred to within Vedanta. That is Swavakyagata. Swavakyagata upasanarthatve bhi na kachchit dosha, koi dosh nahi. There is no dosha that there can be. That there are upasanas within Vedanta is not a dosha. And there is no dosha if there is a description of the devatas, if there is a description of the upasakas, if there is a description of the method of upasana, if there is a description of the karakas of the upasanas within Vedanta, it doesn't really amount to any dosha because they are meant for upasana, and that is what upasana is meant for. Chitta Shuddhi. But in that manner Brahma cannot be upasyam. And that is also said. We'll just read that. Natu tatham brahmanaham upasana vidiseshatvam sambhavati ekatve eya upadeyam shunyatayam kriyakarakaadi dvaita vijnanam upamarda upapattehe natu tatha brahmanaha upasana vidiseshatvam sambhavati. In that manner, it is not possible for Brahman to be one of the details of upasana. Brahman cannot be an object of upasana. Brahman as unlimited cannot be an object of upasana. Natu tatha brahmanaha upasana vidiseshatvam sambhavati. Just as a devata can have upasana vidiseshatvam, like Indra can have upasana vidiseshatvam, any devata can have upasana vidiseshatvam. Brahman as unlimited cannot have upasana vidiseshatvam. Why? Because it is free from all karakas by swarupa. Ekatve, being one without a second. Heya upadeya shunyataya. And because it is not something that needs to be gained, it is not something that can be avoided. You don't have to gain Brahman, you don't have to. Now for example, now see here. When you think of meditation, some upasana, we'll see this sentence, Aram say. Now just understand this point, there is no need of hurry. How there is, you think of Indra, you have to think of Indraya Swaha. So Indra becomes Heyam and Upadev in the sense, I have to think of him and I can also forget him. I can think of a thought. The thought of Indra is entertained, is Upadeyam. The thought of Indra is Upadeyam. And when I have to entertain the thought of Indra, I have to lose the other thoughts. And what is Upadeyam? A thought that is entertained of Indra can also be lost. That means the Indradi Devatas are within the realm of Heya and Upadeya. But the Anubhava of Brahman is neither Heyam nor Upadeya. You can't say that the experience of Brahmavastu depends upon the entertainment of thought. An object has no existence except as an object of thought. In that manner you can't say Brahman is only existent only as an object of thought. You can't say, well, even if a person doesn't entertain, doesn't know what is Brahman, but unrecognized by a person, ever, always, eternally, what is within one's experience is Brahman. Brahman is choicelessly within Anubhava. Therefore, I don't have to bring Brahman into my Anubhava. I can't also avoid Brahman, I can't take away, I can't remove Brahman from my Anubhava. Therefore, Brahman is what? Aheya and Anupadeya. It is Aheya and Anupadeya. Whereas everything else is Heya and Upadeya. Therefore, even as a topic, it is something, it is free from Heya and Upadeya. Therefore, Ekatve, being one without a second, Heya Upadeya Shunyataya, because it is free from being Heya and Upadeya. Kriyakarakadi Dvaita Vijnana Upamartha Upapattehe. It is possible that recognition of such a Brahman, recognition of one's nature as that, has the capacity to do the Upamardhanam, means destroying. It has the capacity to negate, correct, destroy the entire realm of Dvaitam. Kriya Karakadi Dvaita. Kriya Karakadi Dvaita. Vijnana, perception. The perception of the realm of Dvaitam. Upamartha means correction. Upapattehe, it's tenable. It is tenable that the recognition of the Aheya Brahma, the recognition of the Anupadeya Brahma can help me get out of my perception of the realm of Dvaitam with a sense of reality. What I am perceiving, the realm of Dvaitam that I am perceiving with a sense of reality, I can get out of that particular realm of perception. I can get out of that perception of Dvaitam. I can get out of my Pranti with the recognition of Aheya Brahma, Anupadeya Brahma. And there is no other way of getting out. Because the Dvaitam is an error about Advaitam. Heyam and Upadeyam is not parallel to Aheyam and Anupadeyam. Heyam and Upadeyam is an error about Aheyam and Anupadeyam. That point must be captured, otherwise the details will become parallel. The world and Brahman are not parallel. The struggle and freedom are not parallel. Freedom misunderstood is struggle. The free misunderstood is the struggler. The struggler and the free are not parallel realities. The very free, ununderstood and misunderstood is the struggler. The very Advaitam distorted is the Dvaitam. And therefore, well, there is no way out of the Dvaitam, except by way of recognizing the Advaitam, the Brahman. And therefore, Brahmopadesha is Sastakam. Brahmopadesha is useful. In fact, not only Brahmopadesha is useful, that is a very mild statement. Brahmopadesha is useful just as my toothbrush is useful. Just as the toothbrush is also useful, in that manner Brahmopadesha is useful. Is it like that? As a Brahmopadesha alone is useful. It is choiceless. Brahmopadesha is useful, it is not in that sense. There are so many things which are useful in life, including this and that. There are so many things which are useful. वैसे वेदांत का भी कुछ प्रयोजन है. Hey Rama, Vedanta definitely sitting alone with its head in its hand would be crying. Mainik, into whose hands have I fallen? If we say, hey, Vedanta also is useful. Vedanta का भी कुछ, सबका कुछ फायदा होता है, वेदांत का भी कुछ फायदा होता है. Vedanta would be crying. Okay, we'll continue it. Let Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Prichyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.